Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Fifth Quarter Podcast. I'm your host, Marcus Jones, the Bluff City Cowboy, coming to you live from Memphis, Tennessee. And we have a special episode for you guys today. Normally we air on Wednesdays or Thursdays at 8:30 Central Standard Time. But as you know, there has been a change made that has shaken Cowboys Nation. So we wanted to do a special show today to just get online, talk about it, see what you guys think, and possibly help put some perspective as to why or how this happened. And just to give a disclaimer, just because we explain why or how does not mean we agree with it. So I just want to put that out there right now.
Very clear disclaimer. It's kind of like I have taken a lot of crap since last night just for posting news. Like, it's so bizarre. Just we have to post, we're just here to be informative, guys.
Exactly.
We are I think probably one of the more non-biased people you will look for in Cowboys content land. So let's talk about it, Marcus.
Yeah. All right. Before we get started, I see this is going to be an interesting show, Amanda, because we already have 50 people in the first 1 minute. So, and the comments are already starting to go off. So thank you guys for joining us. I see most of you guys are watching from the DC4L page. So I definitely appreciate you guys tuning in. If you haven't joined us before, this is the official podcast of DC4L. We normally air live on Wednesdays at 8:30 Central Time. During the off season, we'll probably do more Thursday shows. If you haven't done so already, be sure you find DC4L on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and also find me at Bluff City Cowboys. Hit that subscribe button as well. All right, let's go through the comments really quick, and then we'll get going, Amanda. We got Eric joining us, pregame sweat, longtime viewer. Thank you for joining. Question the answers. Looks like a brand new name, so appreciate you tuning in. We got a regular Jeffrey Dunnigan joining us. Appreciate you joining us today. Got another regular in William Wiggins. Appreciate you tuning in. John Matthew Jr. We'll definitely talk about that in a minute, so appreciate you joining us. Palon, see you joining. We'll hit all these comments. I'm just going through to say thank you guys for joining us. Dante Stevie J. Collins, appreciate you tuning in, joining us today. Rose Steigman, looks like another new name, so appreciate you tuning in. Greg Meeks, thank you for joining us. Joey Santana, we have a lot of people watching, so we try to keep the profanities to a minimum, but we definitely appreciate all your questions and comments. Got Charlie joining us also. Charlie, I've been growing a beard forever. It's just gray now, so it shows up more.
Charlie came in and just wanted to give a knock at you before we even got started.
Yeah. My beard doesn't grow. I've been growing the same beard probably 5 years.
My husband has like one down to like, I don't know, it's ridiculously long. So I don't know that life. Man, y'all are angry.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, so just so you know, we try to be family friendly. And again, I just want, since so many people are like piling in, remember, we're going to be informative. Whatever we say does not dictate how we feel about the situation. And if we're going to speak on how we feel, we will be sure to preface that by saying how we personally feel. But let's look at it and try to be, what do you think, Marcus? Let's be upfront about it all. So
let's go ahead and get into it. Thank you guys for joining. I will be marking comments and putting them on the screen. But once again, like I said before, we have a lot of sponsors that watch this show, a lot of people in Cowboys, former, current players. So we try to keep the profanity to a minimum. So we would love to highlight any questions or comments that you may have, but we do ask that you remove the profanity from your comment. So definitely appreciate all of you guys' support. And the views are still going up, so thank you guys for joining. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. Big news dropped last night. The Cowboys hired a new head coach, and the head coach is a familiar name to Cowboys Nation, former offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer. Just to give you guys a little bit of background into his history, he has been the offensive coordinator in the NFL for roughly 20 years. The son of legendary head coach Marty Schottenheimer, who's known for his extensive play calling in favor of the running game. So give some background of his coaching history, and that should be 2006, not 2016. So he got his first NFL offensive coordinator job 2006 with the Jets. If you guys remember, it was under Rex Ryan
Yeah.
with Mark Sanchez as the quarterback. They went to back-to-back AFC championship games. Then from there, he went to the
Well, he
then
had Brett Favre for a year too.
he did have Brett
So
Favre for
he
a
had
year. That's
Brett
right.
Favre and Chad Pennington. Those were the quarterbacks
Mhm.
that he worked with at New York. I was diving into it last night. Well, probably a few days ago when I expected the hire. So,
Right.
not too impressive for the most part with those where he ranked defensively.
Yeah. So from there, he went to the then St. Louis Rams, 2012 to 2014 under Jeff Fisher. From there, he took a couple of position coaching jobs. Then he got another opportunity with the Seattle Seahawks from 2018 to 2020 under Pete Carroll with Russell Wilson. And
on
I'm
that
sorry.
note,
Yeah.
on the Seahawks note, this is something that I do want to hit. Top 10 in almost every offensive category there was. Say it's Russell Wilson. I looked it up. The stats are there. He was top 10 in almost every offensive demographic. And the biggest one that y'all should be really, really, really excited about, running the football.
Mm-hmm.
Schottenheimer is a run man. So.
Okay. So last but not least, after Kellen Moore and the Cowboys decided to split in 2012, he came and joined Mike McCarthy as his offensive coordinator for the past 2 years. So now just going to give you guys a little bit about what you can come to expect from his coaching scheme. So we saw a little bit of this last year. Prior to Brian Schottenheimer, we were mostly an outside zone running scheme. So just to give you guys the difference, when a team runs outside zone, that means the linemen are not blocking players. They're blocking a spot. So typically everybody's blocking a gap. The running back's first steps are to go wide, and then they either keep going wide or they cut back inside based on where they read the hole. The inside running scheme is the opposite of that. When I used to play football, we called it big or bob. Big on big, hat on a hat. Everybody on the offensive line is going to block the guy in front of them. So that's more of an inside zone power running scheme. So everybody's going to press inside. It's going to be double teams between the center guard and then whoever can kind of separate from the double team, they go to the second level and try to get a linebacker. The running backs in that scheme typically run between the A gap and the B gap, and then from there they either explode through the hole or they cut to the outside. So it sounds like it's similar, but it's really completely opposite. So we kind of played around with that last year for the first time. The fact that he's the head coach now, I would expect us to go back to more of that. And because you're running more inside, you can expect to see more play action during his time with the Rams and the Seahawks in particular. Well, all three teams really. All of those teams were top in the NFL in terms of play action, probably 30 to 40%. Like I said, because it's an inside zone, you're going to expect to see bigger, more versatile backs. So you're going to see running backs anywhere from 215 to 225 who can run between the guards and also has the ability to catch out of the backfield. I mean, to be honest, we're going to talk about this, but Genty in college is probably this scheme's wet dream no better phrase.
It's the best
Um,
phrase to use.
Rico Dowdle also would be really good in this game because he's more of a downhill runner, and I think we kind of saw a little bit of that later in the season. Another good thing and bad thing, the last two. The scheme makes easy reads for the quarterbacks because you're doing a lot of play action. You're able to pull those linebackers and safeties back, pull those linebackers and safeties in. Um, Also, the scheme has a lot of crossing routes in it, a lot of deep posts, a lot of half field reads. So instead of the quarterback having to go from one side of the field to the next, it's pretty much play action. And then we're going to read 3 different levels on one side of the field. So you're probably going to have a shallow route, 5 yards. You're going to have a in cut, out cut with the tight end at 10 to 15 yards. And then you'll have your deep hit in terms of a post or fade or 15-yard dig route coming from the X position. So it's gonna make easy reads for the quarterback. Now, the downside to all of this is it's not a lot of creativity in this game. It's gonna be a lot of running the ball, play action off of it, and then you're gonna read 3 levels and make the best play. So it's some good and bad in that. If you have talented players who know how to get open, giving your quarterback easy reads is going to definitely make it better for him. But if you don't have those guys and you don't have the creativity to get them open, it could cause some problems. So that's a little bit about Schottenheimer's scheme, just to give you guys who are watching a little bit of background on what we can expect to see from him in his first year. All right, so I know that was a lot, Amanda, and there was a lot of comments. Let me just start off just getting a little bit of your thoughts about what you thought about the hire.
I think, okay, so I'm going to go to what Jimmy Johnson said, and I think this is something that I'm trying to remind myself with this hire.
Mm-hmm.
You have a quarterback who is here through the 2028 season. There's no getting around Dak Prescott. And I don't want to start that argument because we'll be here all day, maybe till next week. So I don't want to start that argument. He's not going anywhere. So you do not want to change up your scheme too very much because we have seen Dak have success in this system. So I knew it was going to be Kellen or Schottenheimer. That was really your 2 options. Dion was never an option. It was a talking point to stay in the media. He wanted to make a splash on Wild Card Weekend, divisional round. I mean, it was a splash. What was it? Divisional weekend that they started talking about it. It was just a talk. And then I also think that you have to remember that not many people want to come work for Jerry Jones. You don't have a lot of control of your coaching staff. I mean, we got what we got. There was really nothing else to it. I think with this hire, the one thing that I'm trying to also cling to hope here is that this man has never been given a shot, never had a head coaching interview. There's no expectations going into the season, and you see it with everybody on the groups, the podcast. No one has any hope. Like, everyone's pretty flatlined on it, right? So my hope is that this man comes in with a chip on his shoulder because he's hearing what's being said, and he comes in and surprises us all. So that's where I'm at. He's a yes man, I'm going to assume,
Of
because
course.
he will listen to what Jerry said. They were orchestrating. Shan said it yesterday, and people got really angry when we posted about it. They were literally planning his coaching staff before they even made the announcement. So I'm not thrilled with the hire, but I expected the hire. That was, I guess, the best way to put it. It's and I heard it wasn't a Jerry hire, which makes it even worse. I heard it was a Stephen Jones hire. So anyone thinking once Jerry gets out of the picture, we're in better shape, you might want to back that train right on up, because this was a Stephen Jones pushed move. So we'll see. Maybe he's right.
On your last point that you brought up about them picking his coaching staff, I just want to go back a little bit. You look at the Cowboys you can go all the way back to Jimmy Johnson. head coaches have never picked their coordinators here.
Nope.
So I see people kind of saying he's a puppet and this and that. Every coach we've had has been a puppet, even going back to the great Bill Parcells.
Yeah.
I was just going back looking at the history of all the coaching hires. I won't even talk about Campo and Zimmer. You know what those guys were. Pretty much the same as Schottenheimer. But people talk about Bill Parcells, the great coach. When he came here, he's always run a 3-4 defense. He was given Mike Zimmer, Matt Eberflus, Monty Kiffin. All those guys are 4-3 guys. He didn't pick the defense he wanted. I mean, there are stories out there about he wanted certain guys in the first round and the Cowboys didn't give them to him. He was the one who infamously said, if you want me to cook the meal, let me pick the groceries. So it's not like this is something new to us. Mike McCarthy didn't pick his coordinators. Wade Phillips definitely didn't pick his because they picked his heir apparent when they signed Jason Garrett.
Yeah.
So
Mike McCarthy inherited Kellen Moore. It's
Kellen
just
Moore,
something. It is like unfortunately, it's just the way this organization works. It's absolutely backwards. It's not the way the system should work. But when you have two very egotistical people that are in charge that think that they are football guys, and they consistently show you they're not football guys, it's just a really rough situation to be in. And as a fan, look, I understand the anger. I'm not happy with the way this all shakes out. It sucks. Like, it really isn't a great situation to be in. But you got to dance with what's the saying? You got to dance with the girl that brought you. Yeah, you got to. I mean, we can only hope. I'm clinging to the fact he loves to run the football at this point, and I'm hopeful that. I mean, I could go on and say, I hope, and I know people aren't going to like this, Zach Martin let him go because the line was better after Zach Martin got hurt. So I'm hopeful that we get the right coordinators around him to bring success back. 2 years ago, we were phenomenal. We were the number 2 seed. We fell apart in the playoffs. So we'll see.
Yeah. And Charlie made the point they hired Jason Garrett before Wade. That's true.
Yeah.
But like I said, they picked the guy with the head coach. And this is a 6 out of 10 hire to me.
Yeah.
It's not a 1. To me, it's not a 1 or a 2.
I don't think so either.
It's an average hire. And in my opinion, every coach we've had since Jimmy Johnson has been a 6 hire, even Bill Parcells, Wade Phillips, Mike McCarthy.
It's a very on par hire for Jerry Jones. This is very typical for what he does. So
we've never gotten the hot OC DC to be the head coach. Any experienced head coach like a Bill Parcells, Mike McCarthy, they were 1 or 2 years in retirement and we brought them back. So you got to take that kind of with a grain of salt. This is an average hire to me. There's nobody we could have gotten that was on the list that I could say would have been a 10 hire.
Right. I mean, Ben wasn't coming here. Dion isn't coming here. Aaron Glenn's not coming here. I mean, I can go down the whole list. I'm honestly surprised they didn't call Bill Belichick at least. I would have taken a Pete Carroll. I think that maybe would have been a 7. But he would
have been another coach that we know the name, but he's been out of football for 2 years.
Been out of football. I think honestly, the whole Pete calling Jerry was just to solidify Schottenheimer getting the job because of their history. I can't shake that in my mind. I really think that was hey, you should let him have this opportunity. But there are instances in the league where absolute nobodies really come in and do stuff, right? Like there's not many, but there are some. I'm trying to think of the most recent kind of no-name guy that came in and really has impressed. I'm trying to think of who the most recent one is. Sean McVay is a good one.
Sean, just to backtrack. Sean McVay was on the same coaching staff with Brian Schottenheimer with the Rams. he was with Jeff Fisher. And I think from there he may have gone to the Redskins with John Gruden. But he was just a 28, 29-year-old assistant position coach that got an opportunity. And look what he did with it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the most important thing is I want to see where they go OC and DC. I think I can't head coaches. I don't want to say they're just figureheads because Mike McCarthy called all the plays the past 2 years.
Yeah.
But usually, they install an idea and they're only as good as their offensive and defensive coordinator. It was a little different for us because Mike McCarthy, Brian, and people, you got to remember that Brian was just there. He didn't really have much of anything to do. He did what Mike McCarthy told him to, and then Mike called the plays. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. There's a rumor going around. I want to say this too. I haven't seen it anywhere. But Dak hasn't spoken on this issue. I've seen a few pages post some fake stuff, but I haven't seen any player yet speak on the hire. So if anyone has seen it, let us know. I've been watching for it. So
yeah. I think all that stuff will come out next week after they do the official press
right
conference.
on the official presser is Monday. I know Ed Werder got a little trigger happy and posted. I'm wondering if it's actually probably already done and they had him walk it back because they haven't gone through the proper protocols yet to hire, because there are protocols to the NFL to how you hire someone. So I'm curious. I know people don't like it because they think Chicago. But I really like Eberflus. I think that he's a really good defensive coordinator. Head coach, no. I don't mind him as the defensive coordinator. So that actually last night made me pretty happy. So we'll see. We'll go from there.
Yeah. So I was just looking at Charlie's comment saying McVay was an OC for 3 years in Washington. But what I'll say to that is nobody said Washington's offense was setting the world on fire. So it's not like he was a hot name that led a team to a Super Bowl and he was the next big guy to get a job. I mean, I don't think during that time, I think that was the RG3 years where they went to the playoffs. So. He got hurt the first play, and then the next 2 years, I think they may have made the playoffs, but they didn't make any noise. So it's not like a guy like Sean McVay was just a hot item out there. He was a position coach who was under the right people, and he got a job. Now, I'm not saying Brian Schottenheimer is going to be Sean McVay. Not at all.
They're going to clip that.
I know.
Thinks he's going to be Sean.
No, not at all.
Saying that. Well, we're both, I think Marcus will agree. We're both kind of on this wait and see where everything shakes out. We're going to touch on some other things. Also, I want to say about Brian's past, I was kind of reading into it. He did have some terrible injury luck. So I think it was the first year, 2006 maybe, that he had Chad Pennington and then he got hurt. So they were stuck with some backup quarterback. And we all know how that works when you have backup quarterbacks, right? Like it's not necessarily, you're not really able to run your stuff. So, and like I said, when he had Brett, he did well. And then he got butt fumble Sanchez to the AFC Championship 2 years in a row. So there's got to be something there. And I'm really hoping the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree because his dad was an absolute legend of a coach. John, and just to touch on your comment, John, Dak has void years until 2032. You see his cap number right now. It's like in the 80s. It's automatically going to be cut by half. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
So, and then other players we constantly restructure, and Dak's void years do go to 2032. So we can spread that restructure out. So his contract technically runs to 2028, right? But the void years, he won't be here from 2029, 2020. He won't be here, but all that money from restructures will play out over time. There's plenty of money. Do not let Jerry Jones tell you that this team can't do anything. I can literally sit down myself and have, let's see, Terrence Steele. I'm trying to think in my head. I could easily put $40-50 million under the cap.
Yeah. And you can restructure CD and probably clear about 20.
I think it's 20. It's 40 with Dak. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there is plenty of work, and we're going to have to. You have to restructure those contracts because we have 20 something free agents.
Yeah.
So we have to. That's the one thing. This year's even worse free agent wise than it was last year. We have to make moves this year because the draft will not fill every hole that we need. So
Yeah. If they extend Micah, that saves money this year.
10, I think it's 10 million. If you cut Terrence Steele, I think it saves 8. But the problem is Terrence started playing better when Zach Martin went down, which leads you to believe he was compensating
Yeah.
for an aging Zach Martin. So
Yeah. I mean, and William Wiggins, honestly, I hope he's not his dad because his dad hasn't coached in 30 years.
right.
I mean, that was a great scheme for the 90s and 2000s.
Marty Ball.
Marty Ball, exactly. I think a version of that may be effective now, but we're definitely not looking for him to be Marty Schottenheimer.
No.
And another thing about Brian that I don't think we've talked about, if you look at his history, his head coaches have always been defensive-minded coaches, except for Mike McCarthy. But with McCarthy, he had no say. So you go back and look at the Rex Ryan years. Their whole thing was, we're going to play great defense, we're going to run the ball. He was pretty much handcuffed in what he could actually do. Rookie quarterback. You look at the Rams years. Jeff Fisher, we're going to run the ball, we're going to play good defense. Rookie quarterback and Jared Goff. So there's not a lot he could do there either. You
Then
go to Seattle.
Oh, well, don't forget he went to Georgia. But he was at Georgia too because he coached Nick Chubb the year he got injured. And they didn't have great numbers, but he also jumped back down to college, I think, as the offensive coordinator before going to Seattle after San Diego. So
yeah. So he went to Georgia, came back to Seattle. Seattle, they have a more open-minded coach, puts up his best numbers, Russell Wilson. So just some things to consider. The lack of creativity does concern me. The only thing that I want to see, and I know we don't normally make splashes in the offense in the offseason, but typically when we bring in a new coach, there are some things schematically that they have to do to make their schemes work. So I'm hoping that just bringing in a new set of eyes, some fresh blood, will allow us to, even though they're definitely gonna be cheap personnel moves, is gonna allow us to make some personnel moves to help improve this team offensively. Let's see what else we got here. Hire the OC from the Texans. I think that's highly unlikely.
we were talking about that before we started. We would like to. I would like to see it too. I just don't think it's happening. We have pretty good ideas. So.
Yeah, and Charlie, you did bring up that point. I do like to give credit where credit's due. He's always had a DC who wants to run the ball and play defense. So this is his actually first chance to be able to run the offense the way he wants it, because the one time he did have what we would consider an offensive coach or a laid-back coach at Pete Carroll, Seattle did put up their best offensive numbers.
Yeah.
And then last year, Mike McCarthy, we pretty much know how that went. So thank you for that, Charlie. Appreciate it.
Y'all should go check out Charlie's show just real quick. If y'all ever want to watch something, Charlie's hilarious to watch. Y'all got to go check him out. So he's great. He's very knowledgeable. So y'all go check out Charlie too. He's right there as Established the Pass if you ever want to go check it out. And then just to touch, someone asked if I had Twitter. If you go, it's at real DC4L. That's the DC4L Twitter. That's me. I operate it.
So while we're talking about it, let's talk a little bit about the coordinators, because I've seen a couple of people bring that up. When you talk about the Cowboys organization, we know, we just talked about it, we're going to have a C plus 6 out of 10 head coach who's not going to have a lot of say in personnel or coordinators. So when you talk about coordinators, typically Jerry Jones loves having coordinators who have head coaching experience. He's always had a philosophy of the defensive coordinator is two separate teams. The defensive coordinator is going to run his team. The offensive coordinator is going to run his team. and then that's how we're going to put the team together. So when you think about that, I've seen a couple of names brought up. Somebody brought up Rex Ryan. I think they said they saw it on ESPN. John Matthews.
So I don't know if he was talking about the cap on that situation or not, but I saw Rex say last year himself that Jerry didn't want to pay him enough money to be the defensive coordinator. So I don't know what would change.
Well, I think desperation could change it because Rex doesn't have a lot of years to help get an opportunity, and I think he really wants to coach. He has a very strong relationship with Schottenheimer. I've heard him mention his name in interviews in the past. So if there's any chance of him coming back as a DC, I think it would be here. I think this year pretty much proved head coaching days are over. This is transitioning to an offensive-minded league. A defensive coordinator with a complicated scheme no longer fits in today's NFL. And that's exactly what Rex Ryan has. But as a DC, I would like it. Then Matt Eberflus, who I think is the top candidate, my favorite candidate, by the way.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be top of the list. Just got fired from Chicago. Has an extensive history with the Cowboys. He was our linebackers coach from, I believe, 2011 to 2017. Should have been a defensive coordinator, but Rod Marinelli, even though he didn't want to be the DC, he didn't want to give up the title. Eberflus got tired of waiting. Went to the Colts, put up some great defensive numbers there.
Wonderful defenses.
Got an opportunity with Chicago. The record didn't show it, but that defense was always top 5 in the NFL. Chicago's just historically not been able to field a competent offense, so he kind of fizzled out there. He's available now. I would love to see him get a chance to come back.
I know people, like I said, I posted about it yesterday. I thought it was done because Ed Werder, and if anyone knows the DC4L page and follows us, we don't do that. Like, I was so excited because I loved it. I love that hire. People were upset, but I love that hire. He really does put out some amazing defenses, and I can just see him really taking overshown Micah Parsons, Trevon Diggs. I really can see him with our core doing really, really good. So I don't know. I can't think of any others that I would want to bring in over him. But we'll see what they hire, I guess.
I would be shocked if it's not or Eberflus. I would be shocked.
I would be too. I can't see any other options at this point. I know everybody wanted Al Harris, but he's moved to offense now, I think, didn't he?
Al Harris. No, he's the pass game coordinator.
Okay, for the I didn't know where he. I know he went to the Bears. I just didn't remember what position they gave him. So
he's the pass game coordinator for the defense.
And Danny's Cowboys Nation I think it's probably in the house. I wouldn't say, I don't want to say a lot of people are upset. So it's completely valid. I understand there's a lot of people that feel that way. And we don't want to belittle your feeling. I just think that as fans, there's so very little we can do. We are past the days where buying merch and buying tickets really hurt Jerry Jones. Like, he makes so much money and everything else. We're kind of at the point where, our hands are tied. So I'm trying to be hopeful about the situation. So just know we're being informative and not like selling you a Ferrari. We're not trying to sell him off Schottenheimer as a Ferrari. So
Marcus Homer, looks like a first time joining us. So thank you for joining us. He says Mike Zimmer had the same history with the Cowboys. He was trash as a DC this year. I would disagree with that.
After we got through the injuries, the defense got better as the season went on, which makes me think that they were starting to understand his system better. I wouldn't say it wasn't as great as we've seen in priors, but and it wasn't trash. I just disagree.
But the other thing is, when Mike Zimmer was hired, like I talked about with Mike McCarthy, he'd been retired for 3 years.
Yeah,
he's been out of football. He was a favor hire. Like, no, we know Mike McCarthy's in his last year. I know we're going to clean house with all the coaching staffs. I don't want to bring in a DC for one season and then let them go. Basically, will you just come in and fill the position until we figure this out? That's the Mike Zimmer hire.
Yeah.
Eberflus has been a coach throughout his career consistently. And everywhere he's gone, even with Dallas, there were top defenses.
Yeah.
Dallas, Indy, Chicago. So there's a huge difference between Mike Zimmer and Matt Eberflus.
If it becomes official, that hopefully after y'all sat here and listen to us, and you can go look it up yourself, hopefully if Eberflus becomes official, you can have a little bit of hope, because honestly, that's a better hire than the head coaching hire.
Yeah.
That's not a bad hire at all. Don't let the Chicago fool you.
Yeah, and not to toot our own horns, but we're not a gaslighting podcast where we're gonna tell you everything that's great about one guy or terrible about one guy to try to sway you. We're really just giving you facts based off of what we've seen from the history of the player or coach, both good and bad. And you can go look this stuff up. I'm not gonna give you so and so rumored this.
No. We're really proud of the work that we do on DC4L and Bluff City Cowboys. We put out, there's so many pages out there now that are just like, they literally use AI to come up with stuff that makes people react. So you have to be careful who you follow, and we're going to do our best to never steer you wrong. Yeah. Having to post that correction last night about Eberflus absolutely grinded my gears.
I know.
I was so mad. That's like the first time I've ever posted something. Ed Werder. Right. Like I tweeted him. I was like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah. William Burney, this is a great point. One of those negatives that kind of concerns me. He's going to be the head coach and wasn't even calling plays last year. That does concern me a lot. But like I said before, he gets to call it his way now, so we get to see what his way looks like. And I've seen a lot of people saying, well, he's never gotten the opportunity to be a head coach. What can we expect? Let's look at everybody's coaching darling right now, Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
He's been a offensive coordinator position coach for the past 12 to 15 years. He just got his first opportunity to be a head coach.
Yeah.
And on top of that, look at that team. I mean, they have 4 first-round picks on the offensive line. They have a first-round pick at running back. They have arguably a top 5 wide receiver, top 3 tight end. That offense was loaded. So even though they played great, it's not like he turned around an average offense and made them a juggernaut. So I'll be very interested to see how he does in Chicago, which I do think he's going to do well. I don't want to take anything from him, but let's not just act like every position out there was filled by a 5-star candidate.
Oh, and you know what? I want to notice something. Do y'all notice how the Lions that played phenomenal all season fell apart? It's very similar. Ben Johnson, of course, interviewed during the bye week for the Bears position. It's very similar to Dan Quinn interviewing for Washington before our playoff game, and we fell apart. I don't want to say there's a correlation there, but I do find it very intriguing. And then I saw I missed the comment earlier. Someone said Dan Quinn should have been our head coach. Dan Quinn would not be having the success here that he's having in Washington, simply because in Washington, Dan has full control.
Yeah.
He can do whatever he wants. And I'm telling you right now, y'all aren't going to like what I'm about to say. Marcus, I'm about to anger the people.
Okay.
We are in trouble with Washington. Look, we beat them this year. Yes. I'm not saying that we can't beat them. Washington has a ton of cap space. They are pretty loaded on positional wise. They've got a good staff, an owner that lets their coaches do whatever they want. And Jaden Daniels, barring a regression next year, is the real deal.
Yeah. So Jeff brings up a question about the DC's position. Wouldn't we change our defensive scheme if we hired Rex Ryan? Yes. Rex Ryan runs a very complicated defensive scheme.
Isn't it like a mix? Isn't it like a mixture of
it's everything.
It's so bizarre. I've never seen him say, I run a 4-3. No, He runs a 3-4. It's like a little bit of everything. And I don't even think we have like the personnel to field half the stuff he does, do we?
The way he schemes, we could, but it wouldn't look good. We definitely don't have the linebackers for it. And speaking of Matt Eberflus, because Jeff brought this point up, one thing Matt Eberflus does, he makes great linebackers. You go back to Sean Lee when he was here.
That's my guy.
He made Jalen look good. He made Jalen
Yep.
look really good for 2 years. He turned Bruce Carter into a borderline Pro Bowler. Then he went to the Colts. Shaq Leonard, rookie, 4th-round pick. He was a 2 or 3 time All-Pro.
Yep.
Then when Eberflus went to Chicago, he kind of fell off a cliff. And then you look at Chicago, they have Tremaine Edwards, who was a 1st-round pick the same draft as Leighton Vander Esch. And people consider both of them bust. And Edwards may have been one of the best linebackers in the NFL last year.
I
so
agree.
Eberflus works his magic with linebackers in particular, and he's also really good at scouting defensive tackle talent. So even if we don't bring in any high-priced guys, I would like that move because I know he knows how to pick the position and coach the position.
We're going to have to do something at linebacker just because of our injury bug and our free agent issues. So
yeah,
at least we know he can come in and do what he needs to do. So
Marcus Homer brings up a great point. Last year, the top OC in DC from the Eagles were top coaching candidates. Now this year is the Lions. It just changes every year. And speaking of that, we talked about Bobby Slowick. Somebody brought that up. He was one of the hottest names in football last year.
Yeah,
thought he was going to be a head coach. Now he's fired without a job. So you just never know with these guys.
Ooh, I wonder the Saints haven't hired yet. I wonder if that's a possibility there.
For Slowick,
yeah,
I don't see anybody wanting that Saints job, to be honest. Why would you want that job?
It's set up. They're in a really bad. They might be in worse shape than we are.
Definitely.
That's really.
Yeah, they're literally in cap hell. All of their players have restructured to the end of the earth. Derek Carr has said he's not restructuring anymore to help them out.
No more restructures.
So they're stuck with him for at least 2 more years because they don't even have the cap space to cut him, to dump his remaining dead money.
I think it's like 67 million, right?
Yeah,
if I want to say it's
something like that. Yeah. So they're stuck with Derek Carr for 2 years, whether he plays or not. I just don't see who would want that job.
Mike McCarthy.
He may be forced to take it.
That's might be the. Someone made a post joking about before we hired Schottenheimer. At this point, they're going to start talking again because there was no one left.
Mm-hmm.
I was afraid there for a minute we were about to end up with Mike McCarthy again.
it was looking kind of bad, but I will say this: I really thought they were waiting for Kellen.
I did too.
Yeah.
Blew my. And honestly, I wonder if in that virtual interview Kellen turned them down.
That's kind of what people were hinting at, but you never know.
I mean, it's just, I really thought Kellen too. I mean, I posted about it. I made a post talking about how I really expected that's what we were waiting on, with a little addendum. If it's not Kellen, it's Schottenheimer. But I am shocked that it's not Kellen Moore. And I don't know if I'm supposed to be happy about it or frustrated. I think Kellen and Schottenheimer are kind of 2 peas in a pod. So, but maybe Kellen now finally has had a taste of what a real front office does, because look what they've done.
Yeah,
they hired him, and look what he gets to do what he wants to. So,
and let me know in the comments, guys, because I haven't really seen this. I just seen people saying the sky is falling. Would you rather have Schottenheimer or Kellen Moore? I'm just curious. What you guys think. For me personally, both of them are C+ hires. I would rather have Schottenheimer because, say what you want about Kellen Moore, he's only been an offensive coordinator for 4 years?
Yeah.
He went from player to quarterback coach. He was quarterback coach 1 year, offensive coordinator for what, 2 years here?
2 years here, 1 year in
One
LA.
with LA where he did nothing, and then this year with the Eagles where that team was pretty much built for a playoff run offensively.
Well, it really and the best defensive line in football, and they're who I always use it as a shining
Mhm.
example of. Do not tell me there's no cap, there's no money.
Mhm.
They sign people every year, but Saquon Barkley's on a different level this year. It is. I hope Washington wins tomorrow.
Yeah.
I do
I
not want
agree.
to put up with Philly fans.
Yeah. And my concern with Kellen would have been if we hired him. We don't know what he is.
No.
His entire football career, 8 out of 11 years has been tied to Dallas. He was he had 1 year with the Rams maybe, and then he followed Linehan here. So he
Yeah.
was a backup quarterback for 4 or 5 years. Then he was the quarterback coach here. Then he was the offensive coordinator here. So everything he knows has been Cowboys culture. Even though people think, and we all agree, Schottenheimer's going to be, for the most part, a lame duck coach, at least he has outside influences from other places where he can maybe implement something different. Kellen Moore, all he knows is Dallas. So if he would have been here, it would have been basically our head coach is like a backup quarterback to me. So even though Schottenheimer is not going to make wholesale changes, at least he's had experience seeing other head coaches and knows how to be a head coach outside of Dallas.
I think that he will. I didn't know if Kellen could command, like, command the respect from the players. I mean, like, how are you supposed to coach the guy who stole your job and never gave it back?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just weird to me. So I think Schottenheimer's the better option of the two.
Yeah.
So,
And Jeff, I think you summed it up perfect. It's going to be better than we think. It's just not the sexy hire of a Deion Sanders or Pete Carroll or Ben Johnson, which none of those were realistic to me.
I think Dion wanted more money from Colorado. So I heard he's up for an extension.
Yeah.
So
I just don't understand why people think, for one, Deion would want to come here, and two, why he would be successful. I just don't get it.
I think it's name recognition at that point. It's got, I mean, Super Bowl champion,
But
Cowboys legend. But
that
he
that
came with
doesn't win football games.
he came with a lot of stipulations
Yeah.
too. And some kid cowboy, where's his interviews? Everybody wanted Dion, but who else is requesting to have Dion come coach them?
Yeah.
Where are his interviews? That's a great point. Everyone's giving Schottenheimer trouble because no one's invited him over for an interview. Well, where was
Right.
Dion's interviews?
I mean, he's never called a play. He's never really been a position coach. His coaching experience was 2 years at Jackson State, no offense to them, and 1 year with Colorado, who's arguably been the worst college football team in Division I the past 25 years. I mean, they had one winning record under him. Great for him. But how does that give you the resume to say I want to be an NFL coach? I just never got it.
Name
And
recognition.
yeah, and people think, well, if he comes here, he's going to demand the respect of the players, and Jerry's going to listen. No. NFL players don't care about that.
No, these are veteran. These aren't college kids who need
Right.
to have success so that they can go earn millions of dollars. Also, I want to remind everyone with Dion can literally go to a high school and say, "Hey, I want you to come play for me." It's there, like, people commit to the school. They get to choose their school. Players
Right.
don't choose their teams. Teams choose their players in the
Yeah.
NFL. It's a very different, setup. So here, Dion can kind of orchestrate, play puppet master, do everything he wants in college.
Yeah.
In the NFL, that's not how it works. And yes, William, kids are making millions of dollars, but
Yeah,
they want to go make more money. So they need to have success. And the thing is, with Dion's name, they're getting views just because of how loud Dion is. So going to
yeah,
college isn't the best for winning, but it's the best for getting recognized.
right.
I hope y'all understand what I'm saying on that.
Yeah,
But yeah, I didn't understand the Dion was never coming here. It was just media
yeah.
hoopla.
I think people feel like if he was the coach, Jalen Ramsey would suddenly not want $15 million a year to say Deion
Huh,
Sanders my coach. I mean, Von
huh.
Miller would not want $12 million to say I'm playing on a Deion. They don't care about that.
No. And if y'all think the circus is bad now, if y'all think the nonsense is crazy that Jerry does now, can you imagine if Dion was the head coach?
Yeah.
And Jerry don't even pay like bottom 15, Marcus. Like
Mm-hmm.
Mark, like he don't even pay in the bottom 15 of coaches. So
Right.
I just like it wasn't gonna
Yeah,
happen.
like Marcus
So
Homer said, he would have had to have been one of the highest paid coaches and have full control.
I don't see what he's doing now. I don't even think he's that good. It's just kind of like I also don't think Shedeur Sanders is that good of a quarterback. So maybe I'm just like I don't understand the concept on it. Um, and then plus Dion also had stipulations where he wanted his son on his NFL team. I
Mm-hmm.
think both of his sons, right? He wanted both of his
Mm-hmm.
sons. I think Shadeur's not bad, but the other one, if I've heard, I'm not sure. I can't.
Shallow.
I don't watch. I guess he's not very good, I've heard. I'm not really sure. That's what I was reading. I don't watch enough college football to know. But
Yeah.
all I
He
know
probably
is
won't get drafted.
there is a there's 103 million reasons why Deion Sanders was never coming here. And it all starts with the fact he wants his son to be on his team who's not going to ride a bench. And the 103 million reasons was signed last season. And
Yeah.
that's dead money, not even the full contract. So
Right. Marcus Homer saying as long as we got an offensive minded coach, we should be good. If we got a defensive minded coach, we would have a good hire. Definitely agree with that. And I'm just of the thought now where I pretty much know this team is always going to be handicapped by the front office. We're not the only team in the NFL that's like that. Detroit has been bottom 3 franchises and since my father's childhood. And they have a 4-year run of making a couple of right draft spots and bringing in a couple of coordinators that nobody knew about and got lucky. And they're in the NFC Championship game.
yeah.
Cincinnati has been a laughing stock of the NFL for 25 years. They made a couple of good draft picks. They got an offensive-minded head coach in that nobody knew about. And one year they were in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So it happens. We just got to hope that lightning can strike 1 or 2 years and we can put something together. So I don't really overly look at it one way or the other. I just hope whoever we bring in, they can catch lightning and they could possibly use their talent to convince Jerry to bring in some players that could help us out. Because we talk about Mike Zimmer, and I think he did a pretty good job considering the situation he was in. But he brought us a couple of players that really stepped up for us. The linebacker,
Eric Kendricks. I
Eric
really hope
Kendricks.
we re-sign him.
I hope
I
he
really
resigns there
hope.
too. Yeah.
Man, I hope he don't leave.
People thought he was washed, and he had a really good year. The defensive end that came in after D-Law
Um,
got hurt
no, I can't think.
from Cincinnati,
Carl Lawson.
Carl Lawson, came in
Yeah,
at the end of the year and may have been our best pass rusher,
he was
even
great. Yeah.
even as good as Micah. And then we had problems with Mozzie Smith, brought in the defensive tackle who quietly had a very good season,
Um,
Linval Joseph.
yeah, Linville. Yeah.
Yeah. So stuff like that is what I'm hoping for, that we can just bring in the coach has enough influence to bring in a couple of guys cheap who have 1 or 2 years left in the tank and they could maybe help us to be slightly better.
We never interviewed Ron Rivera, the
Yeah,
Cycle Kid Cowboy. That was just clicks and views by these pages that are AI. So
right.
they just make up stuff for clicks. So
All right. William Wiggins said Tennessee would have been the
yeah.
only team that could have took both. Yeah,
Apparently Shadira met with the brass of the Titans at the Shrine Bowl. Is that what it's called?
yeah,
Yeah, he met with them. So
yeah. Highest paid head coach is 17. I don't know what Ben Johnson's making, but it's probably close to that.
I heard
Yeah,
it was 15.
yeah.
That's what I heard. And I think Aaron Glenn was at 10 with the Jets.
Okay.
And then Liam Cohen, I think, was making quite a bit too down
Yeah.
in Jacksonville.
So we haven't talked about the offensive coordinator. We've talked quite a bit about Eberflus.
Yep.
The only name that stands out, there are two names that stand out in terms of offensive coordinators. One is Mike Solari. That's the one most fans won't know. That's the former offensive line coach for the Cowboys. He's followed Brian Schottenheimer a couple of places. He was here last year. And then Anthony Lynn,
Yeah.
running back coach. I think he's the running game coordinator for the Commanders right now. So if we couldn't get Kingsbury, we could maybe get another guy from that staff, another guy who believes strongly in running the ball, has some head coaching experience with the Chargers. So those are two names I'm kind of watching in terms of offensive coordinators.
Is Kingsbury on a 1-year deal, or because I know that's what is Kingsbury's contract? Because excuse me, people keep talking about having him come, and I thought so. The only way you can really move teams is if you're ascending up the ranks, right? That's how it works.
Yeah, you can't
So
take a lateral position. It has to
he
be
can't. So he can't become. He's already an offensive coordinator. So I guess you could make him assistant coach, like offensive coordinator, assistant coach. Maybe. I guess that would technically be considered a promotion, right?
yeah.
I mean, I just don't see if he's not on a 1-year deal. I don't see how he got it.
Yeah, I mean, because NFL coaches are not part of the salary cap,
Right.
and teams basically pay them out of their pockets, it's hard to know exactly how many years a coach has, especially a coordinator. So all we can do is kind of speculate. Most coaches and coordinators normally have 4 or 5 year deals. You would have to assume it's that, unless Kingsbury made some type of special request. Now, the Cardinals are still paying him, and they're paying him a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Yeah, I think he signed an extension, so I think they're paying him until 2026. So I could see him saying, "I don't need the money. I'll just take a 1-year deal just
So
to see what I can
3
get." It's 3.
3-year deal at 18 million. So 6
Okay.
mil a year with the Commanders this past off season.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't think we can get Kingsbury as an OC.
no.
Because again, that's a lateral position. So it's gonna have to be somebody who's currently a position coach or an OC in college, or somebody that's sitting at home. And I think Mike Solari and Anthony Lynn are going to be the top 2 candidates. I've been seeing Bobby Slowik in the comments quite a bit. I don't see that happening because Jerry loves his coordinators to have coaching experience outside of Jason Garrett, which was like family.
I don't know. He did a great job with CJ, but he did get fired for a reason. So
Yeah.
I want to know if what Jane Slater said was true about a certain former player as a heir apparent to the throne. I want to see if that's true. I haven't seen any substantiated like valid sources. Jane Slater's pretty normal. like she's not normal. She's pretty good and reliable, but I'm really interested to see if Jason Witten joins this coaching staff in any form, even if it's as a tight ends coach.
Yeah.
Like what is it when they're just when they kind
Just
of just give advice? I'm trying to think of the word.
like quality control or like an
Right,
advisor.
just yeah, kind of like
I mean, he
a
could be an assistant position coach.
yeah, an advisor. I'm just
Yeah.
interested to see because I really think that if there is any former player that's going to coach here, it's going to be Jason Witten.
Yeah.
Romo's never leaving his cushy millions and millions and millions of dollar job to come for more work, longer hours, worse bosses, and less time with his family.
Yeah.
I just don't see it.
Marcus Homer saying slower to Todd Monken. We couldn't get Todd Monken. Pretty much what we just talked about. You can't hire a coach for a lateral position. No team would ever approve you doing that. So because he's the offensive coordinator at Baltimore, there's no way you can even get approved to get an interview for him with Dallas. But yeah, Romo's definitely not gonna give up $10 million a year to sit on the sideline and all plays in a box
and put up with Jerry again.
and put up with us. Because you know, even though he's been retired 6 years,
yeah,
half the fan base still loves him and half still hates him. His name still comes up.
Well, I will say this. I do think that like I've always said Troy Aikman would be a genius GM. It'll never happen, but he would be a wonderful, wonderful GM. And I watch Romo when he's calling plays from the booth. It is extremely impressive. I mean, he would probably be a wonderful offensive or defensive coordinator. He could probably do both. He's very talented. I don't see him doing that. Maybe his kids get older and he decides to stick his dip his toe into coaching maybe as his kids get older, but I don't see it yet. So
yeah. So I'm just going to throw out a couple names, just position coaches to be aware of. I think we may see Mike Nolan come back, possibly be a linebackers coach, former defensive coordinator. He's great. He's great with linebackers.
Okay. He wasn't a good defensive
No,
coordinator.
not at all. Some people
I'm really
are good.
sad. We lost Bones.
Yeah.
Like that's a hard one. We lost quite a few positional coaches in this hiring cycle. So
yeah. In terms of D-line, Leon Little'll probably come back, or Jeff Zagonia. I don't know. But those guys are definitely in the running. Jerome Baker used to be the the cornerback coach here. He's worked under Eberflus a lot. So if Eberflus returns, you may see Jerome Baker come back. Offensive side of the ball, they pretty much said it's going to be DeMarco Murray or Tashard Choice, running back coach. Lunda Wales was the tight end coach last year. Did an amazing job the past couple of years. I could see him coming back as the tight end coach or the offensive line coach. I'm interested to see what happens with Mike Solari, the offensive line coach. He could either be the O-line coach again, or he could be the offensive coordinator. I have no clue what we're going to do at quarterback coach, if we're even going to have one. What other coach? Tight ends coach. It could be Lunda Wales. It could be Jason Witten. You never know.
Need a special teams coach.
I have no clue where we go there.
I don't either. Passing game coordinator. I don't think ours is gone. So we've got a lot of positions to fill, and Jerry waited until last minute. So and someone just while you're I know you're looking something up, Marcus, but Joe, I don't want to butcher Trenchina. I just want to remind you that so I know you're judging based off of the last couple of years, but please do keep in mind that Brian Schottenheimer has not called the plays. He was just a figurehead. He held the role as offensive coordinator. He didn't call the plays. We ran Mike McCarthy's system. So we really don't have any idea on what we're getting. You can look back to Russell Wilson from 2018 to 2020. And then if you want to go way back, you can look back at, San Diego, the Jets, but we don't really know what we're going to get. We're going to see. We don't know what he's going to decide to emphasize on, truly. we'll see.
Yeah.
He's never been a head coach, so
I was thinking maybe Callahan may come back, but I just looked it up. His son, Brian Callahan, is the head
yeah.
coach with the Titans, and
Oh,
he was just hired as the offensive line coach, so he's definitely not leaving.
can we bring back Colombo? Because man, he was so good. Mark
Colombo's
Colombo.
definitely an option.
I
If
really he worked with Schottenheimer, didn't he?
he
Like
did. Yeah.
so. Mark Colombo was a wonderful coach, and I think he'd fill that position role right on back. So
I think Solari is going to be here. So if Solari ends up being the offensive coordinator, I could see Colombo returning as the offensive line coach. So it's a lot of moving parts on the offensive side of the
yeah,
ball. Jeff asked the question, does D-Word get into coaching? I think that's based off those comments he made where he said if he was Micah's coach, he wouldn't be doing his podcast. So I don't know if he plans on getting into coaching or not. He'll probably be around a little bit more.
yeah, we'll see.
So they're saying Rich Biscaccia, I know I probably butchered his last name, as the special teams coach. I don't know if
I
he's a
also
special
heard
teams coach
Sean
or not.
Lee for linebacker coach. I heard there's a possibility Sean Lee was going to come back with Eberflus as the linebacker coach. I don't know if I quite buy that, but I mean, his name's been thrown out there too. So,
Yeah, Rich Biscaccia is the special teams coach for the Packers, so you can pretty much cancel that one out. Again, not taking lateral positions. Let's see what we got. Brian Greasy is the quarterback coach for the Niners. Will make a good OC. I would agree with that. But again, Jerry loves coordinators with head coaching experience. So I'm fully expecting to be Anthony Lynn or somebody like that who's been a head coach who's gonna come in and be the OC. I'm trying to think about Schottenheimer's history, and Anthony Lynn is the only guy who fits that criteria. The Cowboys just did an interview with him when they were looking for a head coach. He was a former running back coach in Dallas. He has a couple years head coaching experience. Him and Schottenheimer were together with the Jets. So I'm just connecting the dots right there. I feel like that one's pretty much inevitable to happen. Andrew Mendoza, yeah, thank you for joining. We've talked about that quite a bit. Yeah. Brian Schottenheimer was not the play caller the last 2 years. Amanda said that a couple times. Mike McCarthy, even though he had Brian here, he was pretty much the one calling the plays.
right. And I hope we don't go that route again. I really hope we bring in an offensive coordinator. It takes so many moving parts to put a good football team on the field. And
Yeah.
I think that when you have the head coach like handling like multiple things, I think that other areas are kind of glossed over. So I really hope that we don't do that. I want to see what the offensive coordinator can do. I want Brian to hire someone that they can make a plan together in the off season and instill that plan, and the offensive coordinator call it, because we saw multiple issues with mishaps on time management by McCarthy because he's looking at plays, not paying attention to the time clock. So I'm hopeful that we don't go that route again.
Yeah. I'm seeing a couple of good names pop up here. Jeff says shot in the dark, Lovie Smith as defensive coordinator. I like the thought. I don't think Lovie Smith's coming back to college. I mean, to the NFL anymore. I just don't see it. I think he's coaching in the XFL, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's see. I'm trying to look at who certain people are saying is going to be our offensive coordinator.
Marcus Homer says Jags former head coach is OC Doug Peterson. That's a move I could really get behind.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I would take that, please.
Yeah. Some people are just not made to be head coaches, and he's one of them. But Doug Peterson comes from the Andy Reid coaching tree. So you know you're going to get a very quarterback-friendly offense. Has coaching experience, has
A Super
playoff
Bowl.
experience, has Super Bowl experience. So, yeah, I would be all on board for that one. I doubt it happens, but that's a great name, Marcus Homer.
It is. It's a good name. I don't think it'll happen either, but I'd love to see it happen. So
Yeah. And Andrew Mendoza said people saying that Schottenheimer is going to be the head coach in OC. Andy Reid seems to do a fine job calling plays and managing the game. Andy Reid's one of
Andy
the.
Reid is Andy Reid.
I was about to say he's one of the 4 best coaches in NFL history.
I, I
Sometimes some people are outliers. They're not the benchmark. They're off the charts. And Andy Reid's one of them.
I really think it's going to be Anthony Lynn when it comes to offensive coordinator. That to me makes the most sense. And I think it'll be Matt Eberflus with your defensive coordinator. And then I think they'll fill in positionally what they can and kind of blend. That's really where I think it's going to be.
Yeah.
What's bizarre is because the Cowboys were trying to like play it close to their chest and not announce Schottenheimer earlier, they didn't get to do interviews. Like, because we talked in the beginning of the show, there's a process you have to go through as an owner to hire your staff. You can't just like not hire anybody. So,
right.
I don't know who you are. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be. There's 150,000 people, so you would have to message me privately, and I will let you know. So just send me a message, and I'll go look.
Oh, Axe Matter.
Yeah, there's 150,000 people, and you can ask Marcus. We get about 1,000 posts on a day to approve. So,
and Axe, I'm an admin also. My guess would probably be when big news breaks, everybody posts the same thing.
yeah.
So once we post something 4 or 5 times, we pretty much don't approve the rest of them because we'll just be flooded with 25 posts saying Brian Schottenheimer's the new coach. So that may be one of the reasons. I don't know what your post was,
Right.
but if your post was about Brian Schottenheimer was just named the head coach, I can pretty much take educated guess that's why it wasn't approved.
My next one is if it was about boycotting. There's one in the group to go comment on because there's only like 15 of us and 150,000 of y'all. So if you're in the group, there's we have strict policies to make sure that the group is the best that it can be. And when you have one topic that's spread out over 50 posts that causes a lot of issues and arguments and name calling, it's hard for us to moderate all that, right?
Yeah.
So we try to limit it to just a couple of posts so we can do it.
Right. Andrew Mendoza says, do we go running back for our first pick since Brian loves to run?
Yes, I hope so. If the right one's there.
If Genty's there, yeah.
I'm going to tell y'all something right now. I'm about to break your hearts and probably make you even angrier because this is with the way our off season's gone. I'm pretty sure I know what's going to happen. I think Genty's going to go top 10. And unless we jump up, we're not going to get him. So I'm going to tell you who's most likely going to land us. I've done so many and Marcus already knows what I'm about to say, and y'all are not going to like it at all. You're going to be very, very angry because he's from Michigan. And his name is Mason Graham. And I'm pretty sure that if he falls to us, I don't see why we wouldn't take him. And I know y'all hate that, but I really, that would be just about right to the way Cowboys Nation's dealing right now, because I'm telling you, another Michigan first rounder would probably sit I don't know if we could stop people from going to Frisco and harming the store. It's that bad. I really think that's who we're going to go. So if it's not a running back, it'll be a DT. So
I have concerns because Ben Johnson loves running backs too. They just took the running back with Detroit top 15 where nobody thought he was even a borderline first rounder. So he's going to build his team around a running back to make the job easy for Caleb. And they picked 10. So for the people who are in love with Genty, I'm almost certain we're going to have to move up to get him.
Yeah. And that means we're going to lose position in spots that we don't really have to lose.
Yeah.
That's the issue. I don't think we have the draft capital. I mean, we're going to get a few. We've got some compensatory picks coming from losing players such as Dorrance Armstrong, Tyler Biotish. we have those picks coming in, but I don't think we have one that's over a fifth, do we? Or did we get a
No,
fourth?
no.
I didn't think so. So I don't think we have the capital to really move up. Not with what all we need and the list of free agents that we have. So
Yeah. And we'll go deeper into draft talk late February, early March. Right now is, to me, I don't do draft talk right now because it's just way too early.
well,
And
and you don't even know your coaching, like what your coaches want. So,
yep,
but
exactly.
I'm sorry, Marcus, I got off on that, but I just am waiting. That's like, that would be like the final knife through the heart of Cowboys fans.
Mhm.
Oh man.
Yeah. This is to me, probably one of the weakest drafts I've seen since 2017. This is to me, it's a really weak draft. There are no true first round pick offensive linemen, which is
Nope.
rare. They're gonna force feed us 3 or 4 quarterbacks who probably shouldn't be taken in the first. There are a couple of good receivers, but if you put the receivers in this group up against the last 3 years, none of them will crack the top 3 with other positions. It's a couple of good pass rushers, but there's always good pass rushers, so that's nothing special.
Um, it's a decent running back draft. I will say
Oh my god. It's
it
more
is
than
a
decent.
very deep. It's a very deep running back draft. Um, I mean, I could see us take my concern with is me and Marcus were talking about with what's it, Scatabo, can't pronounce his
Scatterbo.
name right. But like, I don't know. I'm afraid he's too small. We just I think we're gonna go BPA. I think that's gonna be half to how we run the draft just because we
Yeah.
need so many positions. So
I don't have Scatterbo as a top 10 running back in this class.
I have him at a third or a fourth round pick in
I
my that's what like I have him in the late third. That's what I've been getting. Like even when I do mocks, that's where he's been going is to third and fourth.
he's
But
a
he
fifth.
played so well in that game that he kind of jumped up a little bit.
He's a fifth at best.
You think so?
This running back class is ridiculous. Like I could spout off 10 names right now off the top of my head who some of them in any other draft will be second round picks, but because the draft is so deep, they're probably going to go in the third or fourth. That's why he gets pushed back to the fifth for me. It's not because of talent. If you look at last year's draft, who was the number one running back? The kid in Arizona, maybe,
Uh, well,
or
Jonathan Brooks was supposed to go
Jonathan Brooks.
first. Yeah, but then he was hurt. So
If Jonathan
um,
Brooks was healthy, there are still, I can confidently say 5 running backs, and if I really thought about it, probably 7 running backs in this year's draft that I would take over Jonathan Brooks. That's how deep this class is, and he was the first running back taken last year.
right. Robert McGowan, I think that's your name. You can't do with then you would have no money to field a team or play your draft picks. Like the money just doesn't disappear. $103 million if you trade Dak does not disappear. Plus, you have to find someone that he will go to because he has a no trade clause. And then, so you want to trade Brandon Aubrey too, who's only got 1 year left on his deal. Micah, I don't know why you'd want to trade like that. That's really messy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I definitely don't agree. You wouldn't be able to field a team with the money that's left because those draft picks wouldn't fill it. So
And like I
Dak's
just
not
said,
going anywhere.
this draft is not good. But little draft picks, and you want to try to trade out, get as many as you can in the top 100, because once you go past the top 100, it's a real crapshoot. I wish I could make a bet with Kid Cowboy because that's easy money.
Yeah, he's not going. I've not done one mock that he's went sooner than the third. So
And I asked the question. We're talking draft, and we'll get off of it.
yeah,
How many running backs do people think realistically will go in the first 2 rounds? There are 64 picks in the draft. How many of them do you think will be running backs in the first
5.
2 rounds? 5?
I'm saying 5 at most.
Okay. So that would assume people think Scatterboo is a top 5 running back in this draft.
Yeah.
And that is nowhere near the case because we can start off with Genty. We can go Hampton. We can go um, Sampson from Tennessee. We can go Travion Henderson from Ohio State. And you could probably even go Judkins from Ohio State. There's a kid in Syracuse. That's just 5 right there.
Right.
And all of those guys are from powerhouse schools who have the production to back it up. That's not even me going into the weeds with ATN from Georgia or Rodriguez from Miami. This running back draft is ridiculous. There are going to be guys taken in the 5th round who will probably be day one starters if given an opportunity. But we'll talk more about the draft.
And
when
then
we get to
there's
that
still a
point.
lot of free agents coming out too, which I'm excited for the free agent show. There's a lot of free agent running backs again this year.
There are.
So there's options out there. Jerry will have to spend money in free agency. I would be absolutely astonished. And I just want to say this one more time. You can bookmark it. I'm almost positive we will have a number 2 receiver that's going to be like a diva wild child. Pretty sure Diggs is coming. I just can't, in my brain, I can't see it happening any other way. It's finally his opportunity to play with Trevon. So, Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, y'all are going to enjoy our draft shows. Don't worry. They're coming. Man, there's so many people. This is great.
Yep. Now, Kid Cowboy, we do agree here. I don't like it personally, but I think you're right. And when we start talking free agency and we go top 5 positions of need, there are people going to be upset with me. I said this in tweets before. We only have spots for 6 wide receivers. And right now, all 6 of them are filled because the guys they got, I don't think they're going to get rid of. So, and I agree with Amanda, Diggs is going to end up here one way or another. So I don't see how they're going to bring in any other receivers in the free agency or in the draft. They're not getting rid of Mingo. They just gave up a 4th round pick for him, and we've only seen him for 5 games.
Yeah, and Turpin's a restricted free agent, so
Turpin's a restricted
we'll
free
have to match
agent.
anything he's offered. And if somebody wants to be crazy, they can go and offer him quite a bit just to kind of put a notch to Jerry Jones. So
they're gonna give Tolbert one more chance. He had 8 touchdowns last year, 7.
Yeah,
he's getting another chance. They may let Brooks go. They may let Flournoy go. I think they're gonna give Flournoy a shot this year.
I think so too.
And of course, you got CeeDee Lamb. So yeah, it's a weak room, but it's full. And I hate to say it. Marcus Homer just talking about a couple of running backs. Somebody asked about why would he spend money on free agency? They haven't done that in years. We agree with you. We're not saying he's going to hit home runs, but there are going to be some singles.
Yeah, we just there's 23 free agents, I think. 23, 25. Plus there's just a lot. We have a lot of holes. So I think this maybe, I'm not saying that he's going to go crazy, but I do think he always does the shut up signing. That's what I think Stephon Diggs will be, is the shut up signing. Here, look what I did for you.
Right.
And you got to remember, we've got a linebacker that's dealing with a serious injury. And so.
Yeah. I think we're going to re-sign a lot of guys.
I think Jordan Lewis, I really hope he stays. My concern is the way he was tweeting is
he's not staying.
I'm afraid he's going to head to Washington
or Detroit. There's no way.
Or Detroit. Yeah, I really think they're going to offer him a lot of money. Turpin, I think, will stay. But we gave him a chance. I really think he will, unless he ends up going to Tennessee to be with Bones, which is something else. Bones could offer a lot of money because he's such a weapon, and we'd have to match it or he walks. Right. I'm just trying to think in retro. There's so many. Eric Kendricks was here because of Zimmer. I don't know if he's going to stay.
Yeah,
it's going to be a very interesting thing. And Deuce Vaughn needs to go back to his dad's house. I don't know. That's the only reason you're nepotism at its best.
Okay? He's the only running back under contract for the Cowboys
contract right now. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, and Rico Dowdle, of course, is a free agent too. So, and Trevon's got a serious injury. Carson was injured his first year. We are in such bad shape.
Yeah.
So
All right. Amanda, anything else about coaching? We've touched on Schottenheimer. We've talked about the possible coordinators.
right.
We touched on position coaches. We've
I
even talked about what type of players they may look for in the draft. Anything else you got?
I can't think of anything else. I was just enjoying sitting here and talking because everyone is. I love that everyone. Y'all, I love it that y'all are so into it. We're very we're an interactive show, so we like to discuss stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. We're enjoy. That's one of our things, and we actually do have something that's to give away before we go. So thank you for all hanging out with us. But no, I can't think of anything else coaching wise. I hope that everyone, if you take anything from this, is that yes, things look pretty dark right now, but there is things that you could kind of cling to for hope if you want to. Don't go jumping off the Cowboys bus just yet. We haven't even got to the draft. I try to reserve judgment for the first few games. Like when you get a new coach and when you're in a situation like this, I first of all, I would never jump ship. I'm just a DC, like I am a Cowboys fan through and through. Um, it earned me a real fun award this year. So that's fun. But I think that I understand being angry. We're not trying to tell you that this is the bee's knees greatest thing in the world. But I do want y'all to know that there are some things that you can cling to that are hopeful. And if Eberflus does come in as a DC, that's a really, really strong hire. I hope this kind of gave you some ideas as to what to do. And I know some of you are still angry, but I hope it's good. So
Right. Yeah. And just to
I
sum
don't
it up,
I don't think so, Jeff. I'm right there with you. I don't think it's as bad as people are making it out to be. So
yeah, to me, just to sum it up, insert whoever you thought was a legitimate coaching hire, and they're not drastically better than Brian Schottenheimer, no matter who it is. There's not a lot of coaching options out there who are going to be realistic coaching options, who are just going to be far and away better than the potential Brian Schottenheimer brings. Because Ben Johnson was never an option. To be honest, Robert Saleh was probably never an option. Aaron Glenn definitely wasn't an option. And Coach Prime probably would have been worse if he took the job at all. And I don't know what people saw from Bill Belichick in his past 4 years to think that he would have come here and been successful. I just don't see it.
nothing. I don't see it either. Tom Brady made Bill Belichick.
Yep, Andrew Mendoza. I had John. Honestly, if you guys remember the last show we did, I said if Kellen Moore is not the coach, if they get tired of waiting, it probably would have been John Gruden. But to be quite frank, John Gruden's another guy, hasn't coached in 4 years. We don't know what he was going to be. He may have been an upgrade, but I don't think it would have been substantial.
I liked Gruden. I mean, I was okay with that option too, but
Oh yeah, I said he was 6. He was a 6 out of 10 hire, William Asbury, C+ higher. But that's pretty much, in my opinion, that's all we've ever gotten here since Jimmy Johnson. And I'm old enough to remember Jimmy Johnson, but I'm not old enough to recall how, if he was a hot name in coaching. I know they had just won a national championship in Miami, but I don't remember in terms of he's going to be the next hot head coaching hire. I don't remember that, if he was or not. I know he was one of Jerry's friends, so I don't know if he was a buddy hire that just happened to be a great coach or not. I'm not old enough to remember that.
so he was coming out of Miami
Yeah.
as the Hurricanes coach.
Mhm.
I remember that. Uh, I don't remember either. I remember Jimmy. I remember I went to Super Bowl like run games in the playoffs. Okay,
Right.
I grew up in this area. I know. I mean, that's where the fandom grew. I want to say that there were a few people that wanted him, if I recall correctly. But I don't. I'm like you. I don't remember how popular he was. So
Yeah. Marcus Homer said Swisher was a good head coach. I'll agree to disagree on that one. He was a great college coach. And that's kind of what my concern was, because like Eugene Stokes said, I remember what Switzer was. He was a college coach, a lot of success, friend of Jerry's that he brought in. I don't remember if Jimmy Johnson was the same thing. But Jeff says he was not a hot name and everybody hated on that call. I think they hated more because of who they got rid of to replace him. I do remember that, but I don't remember if Jimmy Johnson was the guy 5 or 6 teams in the NFL wanted when he took the Cowboys job. Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, nobody wanted Troy Aikman. They even took a next quarterback in the same year.
They did.
So Steve Walsh, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Steve Walsh.
Compensatory pick.
So we just have to. I don't know. I'm right with you. It's a C plus. That's what we're. It's an average hire. I don't think we could have expected anything more, and it's mostly because it's not just the football. There's a lot. I don't think people realize. We take a lot of crap as Cowboys fans. Okay, we take a lot of crap, but I want you to imagine. Look at what the people that play on this team deal with, and the coaching staff deal. There's a lot that comes with being a Cowboys. Anything, fan, coach, employee, player. So there were just very few people that can handle that. And Schottenheimer, I guess, is the guy they thought that could step in and deal with that stuff because his BS. I love his initials. It makes me happy. BS is gonna come in and see what he can do, I guess. So hopefully he's like Kyle Shanahan. I hope so. That would be great. Kyle Shanahan struggled this year too.
He did.
Shanahan, you're only as good as the players that you put on the field. And of course, you want to have a good scheme and everything. But when that injury bug bites, it bites. So we kind of got ourselves set up for failure there.
Yeah. All right. So, Amanda, do you have a question in mind? Because I haven't thought about anything.
Let's see. I will find something.
I could do the randomizer, but people hate that because they don't think it's legitimate.
Okay, I'm looking right now.
Okay. All right. So while Amanda looks for a trivia question, just want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. Do you want to let them know what you're giving away while you look up a question?
Sure. So one of our sponsors for the show is 951 jerseys, and they make really high-end quality replica NFL jerseys. It's a very good friend of mine. He does wonder. I mean, every jersey I have outside of like 2 came from 951 Sports jerseys. They're amazing. And he donated a jersey of what he has in stock of choice. So when you win, you'll message the page. I will make a group chat with you and the owner of this company, and you will get given a list of jerseys to choose from that he has in stock, and you will get it. We give them away usually multiple times during the season, signed memorabilia, but this is our sponsor for the day is a jersey for you to wear. So
yeah.
Get you started for the next season apparel.
All right. So we do have a couple of rules that we have in place. You definitely need to contact Amanda Foster within 72 hours to claim your prize. We do ask that you are a Cowboys fan if you win. And to put another caveat on there, we ask that you are a Cowboys fan that does not plan on giving up your fanhood within the next 2 weeks. Because we don't want you to get this jersey and then 2 weeks from now we see you burning it or saying I'm throwing away all of my Cowboys gear. So make sure you are a fan who plans on sticking around for a while.
And if you're not, Marcus is looking. He's got a hat size and a jersey size, and he will gladly take your stuff.
Yeah, I feel your pain. You should not have to struggle any longer, especially if you wear a 3X jersey.
Sorry, that's so great.
So we also ask that you do follow us on Facebook and YouTube at DC4L, and also find me at Bluff City Cowboys on YouTube. And you can scratch out the last one because we all see your name, so you're all going to be eligible. And for you guys who are new to the show, the only thing we ask to win the jersey is answer a trivia question. So we're going to put a question up in a few minutes. The first one who gives the correct answer that we see will be the winner. So we do go by the comments, and the first one that we see that comments correctly, we will give them a prize. So Amanda's looking for the question.
I'm trying.
I'll put it on the screen, and then the first one we see that responds with the correct answer will be the winner. So while Amanda's looking for the question, let me know in the comments, are there any topics you guys want us to discuss over the next month? It's kind of the off season right now. I'm not the type of person who wants to come on here and talk an hour about speculation, because I've seen some other Cowboys content creators who spend 2 hours talking about why Deion Sanders is the best option, or just anything. I really don't like wasting my time doing that. I'm more of a factual person. So if there's any topics you guys want to talk about, any football things, anything about free agency, how teams are structured, you want to discuss, let me know. So and I see a lot of people saying free agents, we will talk about our free agents. So we will go through a full list of everyone who's a free agent, explain their status, whether they're restricted, unrestricted, exclusive rights. I'll give you guys the top 5 positions of need. And then from there, we will talk about some potential free agents. I'm not going to give you guys names like Jalen Ramsey. I'm going to give you guys some realistic free agents whose price tags are under $8 million that fit a need that we have, that are realistic hires. Over the past 3 years, I've been fairly accurate with the people that I think we target. Last year, I did correctly predict Eric Kendricks, Linval Joseph, and Carl Lawson. Year before that, I was that the Dante Fowler year?
Yes,
Can't remember.
I think so.
So yeah, so we're gonna talk about free agency quite a bit. I'm not saying any names, William Wiggins, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But wishful thinking. So we will go into that. And before we do the question, I just want to say this, because I was really getting concerned about this coaching hire / free agency, because this week is the Shrine Bowl and we don't have a coaching staff. So we don't even have guys who can go watch the practices to know who they like or what they're looking for. And next week is the Senior Bowl. So they had to make a decision pretty soon. This is the latest since Jerry Jones has been the owner of the Cowboys. This is the latest in the season that we've ever hired a head coach. And you guys can look it up. Every head coach we've hired was hired before January 12th. Most of them were hired January 6th, 7th, or 8th, somewhere around the end of the season, because we didn't make the playoffs. And they were usually coaches who were available because their teams weren't in the playoffs or they weren't coaching the year before. So this is the latest we've ever hired a coach. So they really got to get the ball rolling to play catch up on what these guys like and who they can kind of make as their unofficial wish list for.
Okay. I gave you a few questions to choose from.
All right, let me take a look at them.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you. I just didn't want to give you one, so I gave you a few to choose from. Kind of different variety.
You've asked 2 of these before.
Oh, have I? Okay, well then choose one I haven't. Look, I had 3 kids in my life's crazy. So
I feel like you've done all 3 of these before, honestly.
Even really?
I think, yeah. Now that I'm looking at it, the first one, I know you asked the second one and the third one.
Did I ask the first one too? Goodness.
I'm almost sure you did.
Of course I did. See, that's
the second one and the third one are definitely ones you've asked before.
Okay, well then I know I haven't done this one, so hold on, because I don't even know the answer. So
I will have a couple of guests this offseason. If you guys follow the show, I had Dom join last year.
He's great.
Gave us a great breakdown on offensive linemen. I'm still working on getting Professor O. He's pretty busy with his family, but he's really good with wide receivers and cornerbacks. Um, I'm gonna look at a couple other guys that I trust in terms of football knowledge. I may actually bring on a guy from another team's fan base because he's just really good at what he does in terms of scouting. So I'll see if I can reach out to him also. And I hope you guys don't hate him too much because he's a Commanders fan, but he's really good at what he does. And he's not the type of fan who will come on here and gloat either. He's a really good, knowledgeable football fan whose favorite team is the Commanders. Let me look that one up. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm looking up a question Amanda gave.
And then I have another one I put in here. So, and you can verify it too if you want.
That is a good question.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Look, and then the
Okay.
other one, I didn't like. There's some crazy stuff here, but there you go.
See a couple of questions. Somebody asked, is Sean Lee playing? I wonder if you mean if he's gonna coach.
Or is it just the joke from Scooter Magruder? Is Sean Lee playing? That's what every time I hear that, it makes me think of that. So,
all right. So, I'm gonna do the touchdown question.
okay.
All right, guys. So I'm gonna put the question up. All you have to do is be the quickest to Google and be the first one to respond to win your choice of a Dallas Cowboys jersey. So I'm gonna put the question up. Remember, the first one that we see that answers correctly in the comments will be the one who wins the jersey.
Man, y'all have stuck with us. Like, thank y'all. Wow, there are a lot of you today that has stuck with us for the whole 2 hours. Thank you.
Oh yeah, they were ready to come in and complain.
Well, I don't blame them. I get it. You can come here and vent. We are never going to lead you astray. We're just going to be real. We're just fans, y'all. We're real fans. We're not here for anything other than to talk football with other fans. So,
all right. So here is the question to win jersey of your choice. Who threw a touchdown pass to Golden Richards in Super Bowl 12 against the Denver Broncos? Which player threw a touchdown pass to Golden Richards in Super Bowl 12 against the Denver Broncos? First one to comment correctly will be the winner. The first one that we see. Roger is incorrect. First one I see is Paolo Futi Sataraka. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, but that was the first one I see. And the correct answer is fullback Robert Newhouse.
Yeah.
So Paolo Futi Sataraka, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. You are the winner. Make sure you contact Amanda Foster so that you can claim your prize. I see a lot of them started coming in afterwards. So you guys were a little bit slower, or your internet may have been slow, but Paolo was the first one that we saw with the correct answer. So Jeff says, "I hate this trivia." So Jeff, you don't like us doing the randomizer. You don't like trivia.
He doesn't like trivia. Hey, Jeff just wants us to give him
He
the
just
prize.
wants us to give it to him, right?
Look, and you know what? You have won multiple fantasy football leagues. Like, I've got pictures of you holding stuff you've won from DC4L. I do not want to hear it, Jeff. I will send Marcus to your house.
The next trivia question will be, what's Jeffrey's last name?
Huh? He's like, I know that one.
All right, Paolo. So congratulations. We will be doing giveaways consistently throughout the year. So make sure you continue to join us for episodes of the Fifth Quarter Podcast. And like I said before, you can find us on Wednesdays at 8:30 Central Standard Time. We'll probably be doing more Thursday shows because it's the off season and there's no Thursday Night Football to interfere. But be sure to follow us, Facebook, YouTube, DC4L, and Bluff City Cowboys to find us on the Fifth Quarter Podcast. Definitely appreciate everybody's support. You guys were great as usual. We are fueled by Cowboys Nation. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully, by the end of the week, we'll have our coaching staff completely full so that we can do a full breakdown of all the positions. And then from there, we'll take a break for the Super Bowl. And then we'll come back and we'll hit free agency going into the draft and then going into the offseason. So, got a lot of stuff to cover. Hope you guys continue to join us, like, support, share, and we'll see you guys Wednesday or Thursday for another episode of the Fifth Quarter Podcast.
Bye,
Amanda,
y'all.
any closing words?
No, thanks for tuning in, folks. And go vote. This is like the last day, I think, one of the last days leading up to NFL honors. Please go vote for me for Fan of the Year. Please. It's NFL.com/fan of the year. Go vote for me. That's really awesome. I want to win. That'd be really a big thing for DC4L. So please go vote so I can be the ultimate Fan of the Year.
Little Monkster, we do have some draft content, but the way I do things, there's no point in talking about the draft right now because we haven't got the free agency. If you guys are familiar with how Dallas works, we go into free agency, they wait till the third wave, they pick up a bunch of guys, fill positions, and then they go into the draft filling needs. So there are guys we like. We don't have a coaching staff yet, like Amanda said. So there's no real point of talking draft without knowing what direction the team will go in. So we kind of try to follow how the team operates to talk during the offseason. But stick with us. We got a lot of great draft stuff coming. All right, that's pretty much all I got. Thank you, Amanda, for joining us tonight.
Paulo, just message the DC4L Facebook page and I'll answer. I'm the one who's on it. So just message the DC4L Facebook page. Or you can find me in the group, the hashtag DC4L. That's Amanda. You can find me as one of the admins, or I'm in there running my mouth. I'm not hard to find. So you'll just come message me.
All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Definitely appreciate you tuning in. And as always, let's go Cowboys. We will see you guys later this week.